Hey, everybody. Come on. I found it. The show's about to start.
I'm Rod Harder, and he's Vinny Dappio, and you're listening to the Specialty Marketing Consultants Profit Lab podcast.
Hello, everybody. How'd you like the intro? Hey, this is Rod Harder. I've got my pal here, Vinny Dappio. Vinny?
Hey, everybody. How you doing? Hi, Rod.
Boy, what a day, huh? Here it is. We got the palm trees are blowing. You and I have just come back from a mastermind meeting.
That was nice, too. That was a good one. That was a good one.
It's amazing because the juices get flowing and you just get on this high. It's great.
Well, you know what was great about it? At today's meeting, we had a first-timer.
Yep.
And we had someone celebrating their first anniversary, a year in Mastermind. And it's amazing. The first-timer was sitting there feeling like, and the one-year anniversary person made her feel so comfortable by telling her, that's exactly where I was 12 months ago, kind of feeling a little bit on my own and confused. Trust me, you'll get there. And that made me feel good today because that was a very constructive 2 or 3 hours.
It was, and you know the nice part about it is the energy's contagious. You see some person who took the leap a year ago, who wasn't sure about all of this, has done exactly what we've told them to do, and now, like you said, he's gone from being the student to now somewhat of a teacher to new people coming on board. So it's pretty cool.
You know, it was funny. She was basically almost hanging on every word he said, and we were kind of like the fluff there.
It's wonderful. I just love the energy.
The way they were.
It keeps you. It gives you a nice high, and the energy that flows from it. I don't know. It just keeps me, jacked up through the rest of the day.
You know, and our main topic of discussion was basically the newsletter.
Right.
And the funny thing about it, imagine if you had your own newspaper. Just think of that for a second. Now, newspapers have been around since BC China. They'd write on carved wooden plates and distribute them. In like 59 BC, the first monthly newspaper was done in Rome, and it moved on up. Well, the point is, newspapers have been around for quite a while, and you know why? Because they work.
Yes.
And that's how you got to kind of look at a newsletter per se. It's your way of becoming your own editor, having your own newspaper.
Exactly.
And they work.
You know how I got into the energy and the excitement and the benefit of newsletters. I've always believed in them, and of course, following the direct response model, everybody in every niche that I've ever written copy for, they're at the tops of their fields, and every one of them does their own version of a newsletter. Some are more sophisticated than others. Some are 2 pages, some are 4, some are 16. Heck, I used to have a business mentor. He had a 48-page newsletter.
Yeah, it's, you know what it is, buddy? People enjoy reading about things, whether it's news, weather, sports, grandma's meatloaf recipe. People are gluttons for free, valuable information. And we all agree on what the word free means, but now tackle the word value. You put 100 people in a room, and I'll guarantee you'll get 100 different definitions on the word value.
Mm-hmm.
Because, one man's rose.
In my newsletter, I have, on occasion, asked one of my clients to have an article in my newsletter and give them a full page. And one of the gentlemen, in fact, the guy who got me started in marketing 16 years ago, who introduced me to all of this, what happened is I interviewed him, and I said, hey, Brian, pick any subject you want as long as it's about marketing, and let's talk about it. He said the number one thing that has changed my business, bar none, is a newsletter. And he said, that's what I want to talk about. So, the proof is there. It's not some sketchy, hazy thing off in the distance. It works. It works whether you're a solopreneur or you're a huge company or anything in between. So I hope as you're listening to this, you're not overwhelmed by the word newsletter, because it can be as simple as 2 pages folded over. That's all.
And another thing, it's kind of self-promoting. Here's a situation. I know this has happened to one of you listening out there. You pick up the morning paper, you read an article about the economy. Later on in that day at work, you're having a conversation with a fellow employee, and the economy comes up, so they're going to talk about the economy, and you've got plenty of ammunition because you just read that article in the newspaper this morning about the economy. Now, what's the first thing you're probably going to say? You're not going to say, the economy's on the rise because of housing. More than likely, the first thing you're going to say was, I read an article in the Times this morning about the economy. You know why? Because you now have a source of information, and it kind of it completes you, and it gives you credit, your conversation. And now they might be using your newsletter as, I read in XYZ Carpeting's newsletter this month that, you become a source or a reference.
Yeah.
It's self-promoting. It really is.
And today's business, especially in small business, the one buzzword that's out there, buzz phrase, is social proof. And everybody says, well, I need social proof. Prove to me that it works. Because of what we do, we have a lot, not just our clients, but other people that I've signed up for their newsletters. I get several a month. And when they come in the mail at different times in the month, I look at those things and I say, there's somebody, whether they're in the financial planning industry, or they're an attorney, or they're a respiratory therapist, or a hardware store, they're at the tops of their game. Anything, veterinary medicine, you name it, they seem to always be the ones in their field who are at the top, because there's no competition when you do a newsletter. Nobody else is arriving at your client's door competing with you.
Right. You are it. You are their newspaper, per se. Because you got to remember, your newsletter is going to be a source of information for them. Too many people confuse newsletters and think of it as a piece of advertising. They're the furthest thing from advertising. What they should be done is you should be publishing them as a source of valuable, free information.
Right.
Business owners that have mastered the technique of the newsletter, they found it to be a priceless sales tool. Not only does it retain their existing customer base, it also attracts new business.
It does.
The response from both existing and prospective clients is usually overwhelmingly positive.
There's so many benefits from it because number one, we are talking about an offline printed newsletter, not the kind that you electronically send to people.
Oh, no, right. I'm sorry.
Right.
Let's get that up front right now. You're going to actually be typing, and you're going to be printing, and you're going to be mailing something, because email, unfortunately, now, what happens to a lot of emails.
Right.
We want this something that they physically get in their hand once a month at least.
The general model that you should think about, it's just for a cost, is about $1 a piece. So if your target audience, if you have 100 people on your what I call Dream 100 list, or it's 200 or 500 or 1,000, just figure roughly 75 cents to $1 a newsletter. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be color. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just make sure that if you're going in the game, that you're planning on doing it for the long haul. This is not something that's a quick fix. It's not something you want to do for 3 months and stop.
Yeah, and also remember, content is king.
Yep.
Make sure you're putting in there stuff that's not really promoting your business, but stuff that your prospect or your existing customer probably wants to hear about.
Well, it's a little bit like our model, man. We are trying to come out of the box here with a podcast that's both informative, content-rich, and entertaining. And we call it infotaining. And that's what your newsletter should be. And, only 30% of your articles really need to even relate to the industry you're in.
And without even realizing it, it's kind of like almost having a sales staff for free. We have a client out on the West Coast. He sends out his newsletter monthly, and there was an account out there that he was pursuing for almost a year. He tried cold calls. He made the phone calls. He sent sales letters. He did the follow-up. His diligence was worthy of a gold star. However, he never got in the front door, but he didn't quit. Every month, without fail, he still sent that prospect a copy of his letter. 2 weeks ago, out of the blue, he receives a call from this account. They're expanding their business and would like to discuss working with our client's firm now. Needless to say, he was elated. He later finds out that it was his newsletter that generated the call. Although the prospective customer never responded to his sales approaches, unbeknownst to him, his newsletter was being copied and distributed to the staff and employees of his prospect. They loved the articles and information so much, they said, hey, let's call him.
It's unbelievable. The stories are endless.
The testimonials are all over our website. The stories are of success, I guess. This is not something you really have to sell, folks. This is something you buy because you're going to use it.
There's a guy that I've known for years, and his name's Jim Palmer. He is a direct response marketer. He has now coined himself over the years the newsletter guru, and he does newsletters for all types of industries, but he's written 2 or 3 books on the subject of newsletters, and all of this is based on small business marketing. I'm not talking about newsletters for some mega corporation,
right?
But your clients and your prospects just want to know you care. You can, as Vinny said earlier, you're the editor. You've got the full control. You're the Perry White of your newsletter. You can control anything and everything you want them to see.
Remember this too. When you're talking to companies, you tend to write like a company. The majority of the people you're dealing with are not big companies. You're dealing with mostly individuals, and who do individuals like to deal with? Other individuals. So write like a person, not like a corporation.
Yeah, the benefits just go on and on and on. You arrive in somebody's mailbox, and they open your newsletter when it's convenient for them. Unlike, going in to see a receptionist in the middle of a busy day where you're interrupting someone's focus. They're not ready to come out down the hall and talk with you. But when you arrive at their convenience, they can put it in a briefcase. He or she can take it home or look at it behind their desk when they want to after hours. It's a friendly way to develop engagement. And it's just so, I wish I had more time because I could talk for hours on how important and how beneficial and how powerful these things are.
Newsletters do not come with an expiration date. They last forever.
Yep.
Now publishing your own newsletter is going to seem daunting at first. It might take you a few hours to initially get the hang of it. And either way, once you catch on, you'll be doing it as if it were secondhand nature, and you'll be looking forward to putting out your next edition.
You will.
A few bullets that you might want to think about, okay? Mm-hmm. You want to be sure that your newsletters are filled with interesting articles. You want to make sure that they're articles that will attract and not repel. The cheese instead of the whiskers.
Sure, exactly.
You want to write your own, or you want to choose articles pertaining to your prospects' interests. Find human interest material like pet care, grandma's secret recipe, what vitamins to take. Remember to stay informative, valuable, and it's free information. Do not advertise.
Exactly.
Remember, it's coming from you, but make it all about them.
And if you continue to do it with consistency, I'm not going to even say if. When you do it with consistency, you sort of break down those barriers, and as I said earlier, you're arriving in a friendly way, And you can begin to bring in all types of human interest stories. You can showcase your clients, have a contest about their kids in the Little League games. It doesn't matter. You're the boss. You can do what you want. Just as long as you put one, maybe two articles in there that indirectly refer to your industry. The rest of it can be fun and lighthearted and entertaining.
Content is king.
It really is.
I mean, when you're first starting out, the majority of your newsletters are probably going to be that simple 2-page fold-over format. As your experience grows, so will your pages. Rod said it earlier, we've got clients that started out with a simple fold-over 2-page newsletter. Now they're doing 6-page color with an insert. Mm-hmm. It's like a mini newspaper. It's really great when they see.
One thing, probably, if you're like me, when I first heard somebody talking about newsletters, the first thing I thought is, I don't have time to do in the day what I do now. And this is a good point. First of all, depending on the industry you're in, there's likely somebody already doing newsletters for your industry, and you can buy that template. And a lot of the copy's already written, and all you need to do is they'll usually reserve one or two little parts in the newsletter, so you tailor it with your own article. The rest of it's done, and it's generic. If you're a dentist and you're in San Antonio, the same dentist can have an article in Boston, and all you want to do is have one or two that's pertinent to your office. Of course, you want to tailor it with your photograph and your business. And remember, you can do an insert, a single-page insert. It can be about anything you want. So the freedom is there. And remember, you're the boss of this thing. You are the editor.
Here's an important point. You must avoid that urge to advertise, though. One of the hardest things to do when you're putting together your newsletter, avoid blowing your own horn. The message you're sending is all about the customer or prospect, not you. Right. You're giving them something they find valuable.
Right.
And you can strategically place a subliminal message in your piece. Here's an example. Let's say you're the XYZ carpeting company. Your newsletter is going to be 2 pages, so you decided this edition you're going to have 4 articles. Page 1 will be a full page, and page 2 will contain 3 other articles. The 3 articles on page 2 may be allergies are on the rise, grandma's famous cookie recipe, and healthy fruits that lower cholesterol. Your front page ad, however, is going to be an article on the best way to get stains out of your carpet. The next month's newsletter not even have an article that's pertaining to carpet, but you give your subscribers content-rich information, and they're going to remember who they got that information from. Their newest newspaper, your newsletter.
Those are all very valid points. And, Buddy, we're able here soon, in the not-too-distant future, we both hope that we're going to have the ability for everybody who wants to have that community where you hop on board our forum at Specialty Marketing Consultants. And when you have questions about certain subjects, whether it's newsletters or writing with personality or online or offline marketing, you name it. And we're going to have a forum where you can go there and post your question, and Vinny or myself, one of us will answer it, and we're going to have other people in our community who have stepped in that hole before you, and they may offer you a solution to your problem. So don't feel like you're out there as the Lone Ranger and you have no help. We're developing a full community where all of this is available to you for free.
Right at the website, at the website. But I would be remiss if I didn't mention that here comes a skull and crossbones item. Unless your client is a politician or a person of the cloth, avoid at all costs ever putting articles in that are either political or religious.
You have too many other choices. Right. Just avoid those two. That's all. The rest of it's wide open.
History tells us the vast majorities of war have started because of someone's politics or their religion, and no one wants war with a new client or customer.
They don't.
That's there are some pitfalls to look out for, but there are a lot more things to be looking forward to once you jump on board with your own little editorial newsletter.
And if you're a fence sitter right now and you're hearing enough that in the past you said, oh, I've heard this before, I know it's a good idea, and you're listening to the two of us talk about it, but you still can't quite get off that fence, pick up the phone and call us or email our office, and we will try to give you a little direction. We'll put you in touch with the right resources. There's a whole multitude of things that can happen for you, but don't put this off. Implement and do it sooner rather than later, and make yourself get started. And remember, you're not out there by yourself.
You've got help. Just call us or email us, and if there's a hurdle, we've probably jumped over it a dozen times already.
And if we haven't, we know people in our network who have. So let's just all get through this together and grow our businesses together. Well,
that sounds like a deal.
This was a good podcast. I thought this was a good podcast. A lot of good energy, a lot of good value, and we're you know what? I don't want to. The last thing I want is us to sit on here and talk about something for 45 minutes or an hour. We'll keep these things to a manageable length.
20 minutes is good.
Yeah, you listen to this, get those juices flowing, get creative, get that energy, and make yourself a promise. Put this on your short list. Make a couple of inquiries on the internet to see how you can get started, or ring us up and we'll give you some direction. But make yourself a promise that a newsletter is going to be on your short list.
Sounds good.
Hey, I've been plugging this for the last couple of weeks now, and I'm going to say this one more time, that pretty soon here we're going to have the 2,000-year-old business owner in our offices live, and you'll be able to hear our interview with him. It's going to be tremendous, and I think you're going to have a lot of laughs and learn an awful lot.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Oh, you don't sound too darn enthused. I just told you somebody died. Calm down over there, would you?
I can't wait to find out who the surprise.
Hold off with the hype.
Can you see him?
Yeah. Hey, listen, thanks for listening. Get on with your day or night or wherever you may be. Enjoy your workout in the gym or your walk down the beach, wherever you are. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.